We are at a pivotal moment regarding the health of Americans and American society. Some call this an inflection point, where we either change how we function as a society, or else we will face a growing decline in the well-being of the American people. Many fear that such a decline is already happening. Among the most dramatic evidence of this involves the core measure called life expectancy at birth, a statistical measure of how long people live or expect to live. While in other advanced nations around the globe, life expectancy at birth continues to grow, over the past decade, we now see drops in life expectancy among vulnerable population groups in America. In 2016, we saw the first drop in life expectancy at birth in more than 20 years, especially among adults under age 65. And the drop is worse among certain population groups in some parts of the nation. Most recently, among lower middle-income whites tied to America's opioid and substance use crisis. This is happening as other nations continue to see their life expectancy rates improve, and so the gap between the United States and other leading nations is getting wider and worse. A 2013 expert panel report from the National Research Council and the National Academy of Medicine, quote, uncovered a strikingly consistent and pervasive pattern of higher mortality in inferior health in the United States beginning at birth. This affects all age groups up to age 75 and is observed from multiple diseases, biological and behavioral risk factors and injuries, unquote. The expert panel calls this the U.S. health disadvantage. It affects Americans at all socioeconomic rungs of our society, even upper-income groups who appear to be in worse health than similar groups in comparison countries. And the gap between the U.S. and our competitor nations is getting worse, not better. And we have a number of serious examples of our declining health, starting with the epidemic of overweight and obesity among Americans. For example, a recent survey of U.S. county officials called it the #1 problem where they live. Across the United States, more than 1 in 3 adults and 1 in 6 children are obese. More than 20 states have counties with adult obesity rates exceeding 40%. Obesity is linked with higher risk of type 2 diabetes, some forms of cancer, dementia, high blood pressure, heart disease, as well as more than $150 billion in added healthcare costs annually. And it may surprise you, but obesity is also a national security issue, with nearly 1/4 of military service applicants rejected for exceeding weight or body fat requirements. Poor diet and nutrition, lack of exercise, and other features of our U.S. culture also contribute to the epidemic of chronic disease. And that includes conditions such as heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, and more. In 2012, about half of all U.S. adults, that's more than 117 million people, had 1 or more chronic diseases. Moreover, 7 of 10 top causes of death are tied to chronic diseases. 2 of them, heart disease and cancer, account for nearly half of all deaths. All of this is preventable. Just 4 risky behaviors, lack of exercise, poor nutrition, tobacco use, and drinking too much alcohol causes most of the suffering, illness, and early death from chronic illnesses. Here's the bottom line. In 2016, the United States spent on healthcare more than $3.3 trillion, about 18% of our gross domestic product. And we continue to lose nearly $226 billion in productivity per year because of personal and family health issues. In fact, in 2016, the United States spent over $10,000 on medical care for every man, woman, and child in the U.S. That's 50% more than the second most expensive nation. This is a big problem facing the United States, and it affects everyone. So solving it will require going well beyond the traditional health sector to include new partners, especially those in business. If we can tackle this together, we can achieve major improvements in our health, our sense of well-being, and our financial vitality.